We could never anticipate all the kinds of checks that your clients need to do to stay compliant, so we've made the system flexible so you can define them yourself. So let's see an example of this. We'll sign up for a new business called Jupiter Taxis and add some cars and add checks so they can keep track of the MOTs and road tax and the insurance and that kind of thing. So if we log in, sign up rather, and then wait for the email to come for the user Eleanor. Here we go. So she receives a welcome email and needs to confirm her account. And then she's logged in. Now, at first, the summary contains nothing. She's not told the system about any of the liabilities that we need to add. The reason we use predefined sets of checks and liabilities is that it simplifies the day-to-day running of the system for the end user, but it does mean that you and we have to think about the definitions of those checks in advance. So let's have a look how you might define a taxi for this new business. We go to the administration menu and types of liability and add a new type of liability called a car. Now, this is really simple, but you'll be able to see how the same ideas would work for a more complicated liability. So we can now add checks to the car. For instance, the MOT needs doing every year and it's mandatory. The insurance also needs doing every year and it's mandatory too. And the road tax. So the idea will be eventually there'll be a table of taxis with columns for road tax, insurance and the MOT, so they'll be able to see which ones need attention. And we'll add a non-mandatory check, call it a service for our own business. Check the air filters and the oil, and we'll do that every 3 months. We'll add a characteristic to the car called a registration. So every time somebody defines a car on the system, it will ask for the reg. Okay, so now we've defined a type of liability called a car. We can go back to the summary and start adding some actual cars. So if we click here, you'll notice the box there for registration number is there because we said every car needed one. So I'll just make up some data. There's a red taxi and a yellow taxi. And then if we go to the summary, you'll see they've got red marks against them because, not surprisingly, these mandatory things haven't been filled in. So we can just make some of those up. So when the MOT becomes liable, this person will get notified. When it becomes overdue, this person will. And we can show later on how to add other people to the system. So say the MOT is due then, and we need to tell the system when the insurance is due, that's then, and when the road tax is due. And then if we go back to the summary, that taxi is all good now. So that definition of a car could be shared between different clients. I mean, if you had a catering business and you define the kinds of checks that need to be made in the kitchen, you could share those with other businesses, other of your own clients. In fact, you can, once somebody has shared them voluntarily, you can import other definitions of things. Gas and electrical systems, there are the glider pilot things that we looked at earlier. Business administration details like when the VAT returns have to be, perhaps, or the company's house return, or the annual return. For a truck, it might be you'd have different sets of checks. So that shows how you can define your own kinds of liability and checks for a particular business, customize them. We'd suggest that in the beginning we would help you to define these until you got the hang of it.